When you solve equations, you're going to need to do three things. And these three things are the same whether you're solving addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division equations. Today we're going to look at just addition and subtraction. The first thing that you want to keep in mind when you're solving an equation is that you have to isolate the variable. Isolating the variable means you want to get the variable alone on one side of the equal sign. The way you do that is by using the inverse or the opposite operation. So the opposite operation to addition is going to be subtraction, and the opposite of multiplication is going to be division. So if you have an addition equation, you'll use subtraction to solve it. And if you have a subtraction equation, you'll use addition to solve it. The last thing you have to keep in mind is that the equation has to stay balanced. And that means you have to keep the equation equal. So if you do something on one side, you have to do it on the other side. So if we add something to one side, we have to add the same amount to the other side. It's easier to see what I'm talking about if we look at an actual balance. Okay? Imagine this right here is like a balance. It's equal, so it stays nice and level. M plus 5 is going to look like this. So we have M plus 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. On this side, we have 8. So if you count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they're equal, which means this is balanced because these two things are the same. Now, in order for me to isolate the variable, that means I need to get this M all by itself. And to get it by itself, I'm going to have to take away these ones. If I take away one thing on this side, to keep it balanced, I'll take away one on the other side. If I take away another one here, I can take away another one here. And I'm going to keep removing things from each side of my balance until I'm left with my variable all by itself. And when I do that, I can see that M is going to be equal to 3 because I only have 3 left. Now that's what's going on when we solve an equation. Let me show you how to show it mathematically. Think about what we did up here. Okay? I had to take away 5 things to get this M all by itself. So the first thing I want to do is isolate my variable, get my M by itself. The way I do that, if I want this M by itself, is I have to do the opposite of what my equation tells me. Remember, use the inverse operation or the opposite. So this says plus 5. The opposite of plus 5 is to take away 5 because I had to take away these 5 blocks. Now, the last step was that whatever you do on one side of your equation, you have to do on the other side to keep it balanced. Since I took away 5 here, I have to take away 5 here. So on the other side of the equal sign, I'm also going to take away 5. Now if we look back at our picture, I had M plus 5. When I take away those 5 things, they kind of cancel out. They become 0. All 5 of these pieces are now gone. And the only thing left on this side of my equation is the M, right here. Now on the other side, I had 8, and I took away 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All I'm left with is 3. So I can see that in this case, M would equal 3. Now it's really important that you check your work. And whenever you check your work, you always start back with your original equation. M plus 5 equals 8. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our value for M, and we're actually going to plug it in. And what we want to do is test and see if this value will give us a true sentence. So 3 plus 5 is 8. So 8 really does equal 8, and I can see that this equation will check. Okay, let's try another one. This one has some bigger numbers here. So it says A plus 39 equals 163. Remember, first step is to isolate the variable. I do that by using the inverse operation, the opposite of what this says. So this says plus 39. The opposite would be minus 39. And I have to do the same thing on both sides of my equal sign. So I'm going to subtract 39 over here as well. Now the nice thing about this unit is it's okay to use a calculator. I know that 39 take away 39 is 0, so all I'm left with over here is just an A. Now, if I want to do this math in my head, I definitely can do that. I would have to regroup. 13 take away 9 is 4. This is a 5. 5 take away 3 is 2. And I have my 1. A equals 124. But this is one of those times where we're going to let you use a calculator. So once you get to this step right here, where you're just doing the subtraction, it is okay if you just do the subtraction piece on a calculator. And you can see I got the right answer. Now, I still want you to check your work. So, in order for us to check, we start with our original equation. Then we're going to take this value for A and plug it in here. So I have 124 plus 39, and that should equal 163. Now again, you can do this by hand, 124 plus 39, and see if it does in fact equal 163, which it does. So we would say, yep, this problem checked out. But the other thing you could do, if you want to, is you can check it using your calculator. 124 plus 39 should equal 163, and it does. All right, so those are two examples of addition equations. Now let's look for subtraction. Subtraction is also a balance, so we want to keep in mind the same three things. Number one, isolate the variable. So we want to get g by itself. To do that, we do the opposite of what it tells us. This says minus 8. The opposite of minus 8 is plus 8. So we're going to add 8 to both sides. Now if I have 8 minus 8, these become a 0. So on this side of my equal sign, all I have is a g, and 25 plus 8 is 33. Now let's check it. So we're going to start with the original equation, g minus 8 equals 25. Then I'm going to take this value for g and plug it in. So 33 minus 8 is 25. And I know that 33 minus 8 is 25. So I can say 25 equals 25. And it checks. Let's do one last problem. D minus 57 equals 129. So again, get the variable by itself, do the opposite. The opposite of minus 57 plus 57. What I do on one side, I do on the other side. So, negative 57 and positive 57 make a 0. And then I have 129 plus 57. Change colors here. So 9 plus 7 is 16. 5 and 2 and 1 is 8. And 1. And again, you could use your calculator if you want to, if you need to. Otherwise, you can just do your work. And the last minute check, we're going to take this 186 and plug it in. 186 minus 57 equals 129. Now, one thing that a lot of kids will do is they'll go, oh yeah, it checks, I know it does. And they just write 129 equals 129. It's really important that you use this to double check and make sure that you're really doing the problems correctly. You can use a calculator or you can subtract, but it doesn't do you any good if you just write an answer that you think you should get. Because if you do that, you might actually be wrong. You might have made a careless mistake, and the check will help you catch it. In this case, 186 minus 57 is 129, so we did check.